a part of the bid.
Awesome.
How about you?
Better than I deserve. That's for sure. Yeah. Free emergency, free shelter.
All these executive sessions, I don't know what you guys think.
Hey, I didn't have anything to do with that. Just a member.
Oh, you're a member? Oh. Vice.
I guess. Never mind. Wrong again.
That's the yes. It's okay.
I ain't looked at the agenda, to be honest.
Now you have, you're good now.
It's
3 pages long.
Business done here.
You can tell it's a good fiscal year. And you don't have to print on the back of the page, you can just print off another one. Small business guy, I gotta go double side.
Where's our chairman?
I am doing well.
I think.
Morning,
Morning, sis. How are you? I'm doing good.
Good.
This time.
I knew we were adjourned.
I'll second that. Good morning, all. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:02 actually. I'd like to call this meeting of the Logan County Commissioners to order. Please rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Item 3, any citizen desiring to be heard? All right, hearing none. Item 4, consideration of possible action on minutes of October 29, 2021 and November 2, 2021.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second. Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. What you got there? Excuse me. There you are. All right. Item 5, consideration or open seal bid for item number 2022-10 for 5-ton truck conversion for Marshall Fire Department and consideration of possible action to award said bid. We got someone here from Marshall.
I don't see nobody.
We have 2 bids, one from Blind Chat and one from Clerk Fabrication. For Marshall Fire Department, we'll ask that the board open, read, and table so that they can get done.
Did Marshall ask for that?
If they couldn't be here yet.
So, Blaine Chat Manufacturing is a no bid.
This one has a bid for $38,375.
Okay. Make a motion that we table selection, let the fire department look at that and see if that's an action they would like to move forward with and give us their recommendation.
I'll second.
Is that what you want? Okay. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, do we have all of our bridge folks here? Okay. What I would like to ask is that we move our bridge interviews, item 21 and 22, the interviews and selection, in between items 5 and 6, and also that we move item 6 to in between item 24 and 25.
I don't have a problem.
I don't either.
All right. So with that, we will begin the interviews for bridge engineers. We've got them listed in order: Burgess and Nipple Incorporated, CEC, and EST. So we'll take them in that order. So we've got our list of sample questions, gentlemen. I would like to add 2 questions to the 8 that they give us. One is we have bridges that are discovered periodically that are not currently listed on the bridge list, and how would the firm handle that and help us with that situation. I've personally had a couple in the last couple of years that we've had like that. They just weren't on the bridge list for some reason. And then item 10, or question 10, with over 200 bridges in the county and over half of them deficient, how will your firm help the county reduce the number of total bridges and deficient bridges in our county? Without objection, I'd like to add those 2.
Yeah, as long as we ask all the same.
Yep, that's why we're doing this up front. Okay? All right. So,
I'm making a copy of this real quick.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll wait for you. So, representatives from Burgess. All right.
How you doing? Get the podium, huh?
There's yours. Yes, sir. Right there.
Okay.
Just for institutional and.
Well, yeah,
Step out.
that's fine. Ma'am?
No, that's fine. I understand.
Okay.
Don't envy your task of having to listen to some engineers speak to you, but I'm Dale Portman. I'm with Burgess and Nipple. I'm the program manager for all of our ODOT inspection programs.
I'll quit mispronouncing the company name.
Yeah, it's Long Eye.
Nipple, okay.
Yeah, that's all right. B&N, that works. So, you want me to just go down through the questions? I got them.
If you first kind of like give an overview of your company, what you guys do, how long you've been doing it, that kind of stuff.
All right. Well, our
and
company.
then we'll just get through the questions.
Okay. Well, our company was founded in 1912. We're a privately held company. We have offices throughout the country. We got 1 in Moore, field office in Moore, 6 of them, I believe, in Texas. We started bridge inspection in 1969. In 1987, we became a full-time inspection section, structural inspection section. I started with the company in 84 and started doing design, and then went into inspection in 87. So we're a full-service engineering company. We have over 50 bridge engineers, transportation planners, the whole gambit. So that, in a nutshell, is our company.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. So I guess you got a list of all the questions.
I do.
So we'll start with number 1. What experience does your firm have inspecting different types of bridges in your area?
Okay, well, we've performed right around 3,000 bridge inspections for ODOT under 30 different contracts, and this is since 2008. We work with 60 different cities and counties throughout the state. We currently have 4 active contracts, and then this contract that we're interviewing for. We do the the fracture critical and off-system bridge inspections, and then for local and on-system, and on-system and off-system routine inspections. In fact, we do your fracture critical bridge inspections this cycle starting this past April. We do we've done the off-system bridges for Ada, Atoka, Blanchard, Coweta, Durant, Enid, McAllister, Yukon, and later this afternoon I'm going to be finishing up on the Choctaw bridges. We do the state routine inspections for the counties of Muskogee, Sequoia, Pittsburgh, and the Curtin counties. Basically, from that, we've gotten experience doing all this steel beam, concrete beam, pre-stressed beam, masonry arch, concrete arch, slab, truss. Pretty much have done it all. And nationwide, we've done 26,000 bridges in 34 states.
Okay. Then question two, what ability and resources does your firm have to perform this type of work? I think you've covered a little bit of that already, but.
Yeah, we have 9 team leaders and 18 assistant team leaders, all engineers except for 3 of the assistant team leaders are engineering technicians. These are all approved by, gone through the ODOT QCQA workshop, BDOCs, and approved. We have 3 load rating engineers that have taken a load rating exam through ODOT's QCQA workshop. So we don't have to go out and get anybody else to do our load ratings. We do them in-house. I don't assume there's going to be too many load ratings. It should be moved up to like 2015 this cycle. So this last cycle was 2013. So there's always a few that have to be done, but we have 2 fully outfitted trucks out of our Moore office. We have, I say, a large in-house design staff, over 50 engineers in that help us out periodically when we have issues more complicated issues that need some engineering know-how on that. And that pretty much covers that question for me.
Okay, sir. What documents will your firm provide upon completion of inspections? I mean, we get like the bridge books and
Yep.
CUs and that sort of stuff. Can you kind of go through what?
Yeah, do you do paper or electronic, or do both?
We get both right now.
Okay, it's very simple because everything is done electronically and then it's just printing it out. If it's in paper, what we end up doing is just using a 3-ring binder. There's tabs between each bridge, tabs for each bridge, and that way, as other reports come in, you have a binder that's it'd be for the 2022, 24 inspection program. But basically, we have a cover letter or a cover sheet that has the bridge end view and elevation and the pertinent data on it. Then it has the bridge, the BRM report, which is ODOT's database. It has the SINA. It'll have the condition, all the elements. It'll have the condition codes. It'll also have the CX, PX, and FX repair. It'll basically have the comments in there, and then we'll also have in the bridge notes, we'll have the repair recommendations for those PX, CX, and FX items. There's also photos involved with it. That'll have the end view elevation, the CX and PX items, and a bridge signing. I like to put a lot of photos in mine because you probably don't have a chance to get out and look at all of your bridges, and that's, to me, it's very simple and easy to do. We have a database that brings all those in, so typically you get a lot of photos on that. Any additional items might be repair sketches that need to be, that we might recommend. And if there's any CX items, that would also be included in as an appendice. And if the bridge is scour critical, you'll have a scour plan of action in there too. Separate items would be the load rating report, which I talked about. That would be a separate standalone item, and generally it'll have a bridge, like a short bridge plan in there to show basically what we were looking at, how we load rated the bridge. Then we take all the CX, PX, and FX repair recommendations out of the reports and put them into an Excel sheet. So you're able to sort and filter, and it all can also can be printed out, but it's much easier than having to flip through each report. You're able to look at it and see the repair recommendations. And you can also filter, like for example, a lot of times on culverts there's scour, and we recommend riprap. So if you want to do a riprap program, you can go through there and filter through that. The other thing too is we provide a GIS, or we can provide a GIS. If you already have one set up, we can give you the data to put it in, but we can set one up to do, and that's just a graphical information system. I'm not going to get into it real deep because I really don't understand it that well, but the other engineers on our staff understand it. But as I understand it, you can click on that on the computer, on the bridge. You can filter and say like, okay, which ones do I need to put riprap in? It'll tell you that. It'll show you visually. Other than that, the last part of it is we have a sit-down meeting with you and go over the reports, go over the recommendations. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. See, question for what quality assurance does your firm have to provide consistent, accurate results?
Okay. Quality assurance, quality control, all kind of lumped together into this question. But first off, we make sure all our inspection personnel have undergone the 2-week FHWA NHI training course, and then they're up every 5 years. They have to take their refresher course. Then the other is the ODOT QCQA workshop each year. All our team leaders go to that. We generally have several of our assistant team leaders go to it because they're going to be our next team leaders coming in. Other than that, we make sure that our inspection crew understands the scope, understands what the deliverable is and what the time frame is. We also make sure that they understand what a critical finding is and the steps that have to be involved, the phone numbers and contact numbers that they need to have in case they find a critical finding. We're all engineers, so we love checklists. Of course, we have checklists for the mobilization, report writing, and inspection phases. This is just to make sure everything gets done correctly. All the files are named correctly, put in the right location, and it also gives us a tracking to see who worked on what. The reports there's 19 air checks that they have to go through ODOT's database, 2 validation checks, and a sufficiency rating check. And we do that before we go out into the field because that'll flag anything that we need to make sure that we catch up the field. Like a lot of times, maybe the head wall distance between on culverts isn't in there. So we need to get that. We do that also at the end of the report, and then just before I submit it to ODOT, I run through it again. Don't want any errors. The last thing is, the team leader reviews all their reports. If they wrote the report, then another team leader reviews it. But we also do, myself and another team leader will go out in the field and re-inspect a portion of each team leader's bridges on each contract. And it's 10% up to 5 bridges, and we basically re-inspect it, critique the report, and review that back with the team leader. Then we have a project work plan that has 90-some steps in there. It tells you everything you have to do on the project, and we may go through based upon what we find on the field reviews. We'll revise that. It's a constant, ongoing process. So, long-winded answer to a short question.
Okay, thank you, sir. Out of 5, how accessible is your firm to get in touch with?
Well, I say we have the Moore Field office. We have Sean Fillmore. He couldn't be here today because he's attending a family issue, but he's our engineer that basically works out of that office. He's about, I think, I looked at it, about 40 minutes away from Guthrie. Then, in addition to that, we have, everybody has cell phones, texting and emails that keep in touch with, but we've responded to ODOT. ODOT's had us come out and look at earthquake damage. We were able to field a team of 6 within 3 hours of their request. We've also, for ODOT, had to go and do scour back in 2015. We had all the scour down the southern part of the state on Washita River bridges. we've responded to that within a matter of hours. So we have a large staff, so it's very easy to move people in and out of areas. And we also, with the current contracts that we typically have crews out in the field. It averages about 3.5 weeks every month. So we're in the area. We currently have the northern half of the state for the fracture critical. That's what we have here county.
Okay. Item 6, what is your firm's current workload?
Okay, well, I say we have the four current contracts, the fracture critical for the on and off system, and the routine for the on and off system. The routine for the off system will end March 31st, and this 2337 will start April 1. So it's just going to be a replace of one and the other. So it's really not any more workload for us, but we have those, the four current contracts. The 9 team leaders, 18 assistant team leaders. We also have an additional 15 team leaders that do not have ODOT experience, but we can call upon them if we need. But mostly it's if we have problems, like a hurricane or something, we have to send a bunch of crew down there. We have plenty to cover the work we have here. In fact, I think we annually do about 35,000 man hours of work, and we have the capacity to do 60,000. So.
Okay, sir. Question 7, how will your firm react to critical findings? And
Okay.
we've talked about the different ratings on the bridges. And
yeah, and we're very familiar with critical finding. I think we're up to 31 this year, but the majority of those have been signage issues, which are fairly simple to deal with. But our philosophy is that we're part of the team. We're not the guy with the big bat going to come and tell you got a problem and you got to fix it and turn and walk away. We're gonna work with you. We routinely come up with repair details and recommendations, but what we like to do is work with you and finding, okay, is this bridge a temporary or going to be replaced in 3 to 5 years? Maybe we can get by with a temporary, or we can do a load rating on it, and sometimes we can get by with just reducing the tonnage on the bridge. If that doesn't work, we can come up with repair details for it. But we like to talk with you, with your foreman. We've had cases before where we've done repair details. We're coming up with repair details and talk to him, and he goes, well, why don't we do it this way? I'm like, well, we didn't realize you had that capability. That'd be even a better idea. So we go back and run the numbers on that. But we like to use sketches, photos of the problem area, and then sketch right over top of it to show you exactly what the problem, how to visualize how to do the work. In fact, tomorrow I go back up to Rogers County. We have a CX there that I'm meeting with them out at the bridge site, and we're going to go over the repair sketches and make sure that they fully understand, because it's a multiple step issue that they have to do to repair this bridge. But I say the key thing is that we work with you. We're going to be checking in with you. We're here. Our job is to provide you with engineering service. Unfortunately, my welding skills are really bad. I can't help you on that. But
that's all right. We got a professional expert welder sitting down at the end of the table here.
Good. Certified welder.
Okay. Item 8. Why should we pick your consultant firm above the others?
Okay, I hope that you feel that we're the best, but we have the experience, we have the expertise. I say we're the only firm that's ODOT selects to do their fracture critical bridges, which are some of the larger, more complex bridges. So they have full faith in us in that. We're local, we can respond quickly. We're going to work with you on your critical findings. We're not going to leave you hanging. We're going to give you, the engineering assistance you need on that. We've been selected by the city of Guthrie for the 2337, and we're also doing your fracture criticals, so we're familiar with the area. I guess one of the big things I look at is that 93% of the workload for our company comes from repeat clients. So we think that speaks volumes about client satisfaction. And your credentials will get you selected the first time, but it's the character that's going to get you selected after that.
Okay, and going to the two add-ons. So how would your firm react to such things as bridges not currently listed on our county bridge list, as we find those? I found two in the last couple of years that weren't on the bridge list at all. And
you're not alone in that. It seems like every time we get a new contract that we find more bridges. Well, first off, we have to, we notify you, let you know, make sure it's in your district, in your county, and it's not a city bridge or somebody else's jurisdiction. Then we have to go to ODOT and we have to get an NBI bridge number pulled for that bridge, and we have to go through and basically do what's considered an initial inspection, where we have to fill out all the SI and A data on that bridge. Additionally, we would need to set up a bridge file for you and for, we keep a bridge file we keep a bridge file, the state keeps a bridge file, and then you would need also the information. So there'd probably have to be a load rating done on it, on the bridge. We'd have to do a scour assessment form. Those are all set up, but it's really, it's a lot of tedious work, but it's not anything that's extremely difficult to do. So it's working with you, with the state, and the state and the central office and Field District 4.
Okay. Just to be honest with you, I've had bridges that weren't on the bridge list that already had load rating signs up on them. And
Okay.
Yeah.
Somewhere that information's there then.
Well, no, not really. Someone mismeasured it.
Okay. So it was less than 20 feet, and now it's greater than 20 feet and greater?
It was 30. It was at least a 30-foot top that we took off of it.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it was kind of a real bridge.
Yeah.
When we got into it. All right. Then question 10. With over 200 bridges in our county and over half of them deficient, how will your firm help the county reduce the number of total bridges that we have? Because that's important.
Yeah.
Where we can change something from a bridge to a pipe, that's important to us, and to reduce the deficient bridges.
Okay.
It's kind of a follow on to that same.
Yeah. Well, the main thing is we're going to work with you on this. You're talking about putting a tin horn in as opposed to taking the bridge out and putting that in. Is that what you're talking about?
So it can be a tin horn all the way up to a railroad car.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So if we're able to replace a bridge, with $16,000, half-inch or 3/4 inch thick pipe that's 10 foot tall, that makes sense to us. Now, one of the things that we're required to do is a hydrology study before we do that, right?
Okay.
So that's kind of, this is all kind of wrapped up in that same thing. We've got over 100 deficient bridges in Logan County, and we need to reduce that. And I know the state is getting antsy with us, with everybody, right? So they think they're giving us a lot of money, which they are not. Okay. But they say, well, we need you to reduce the number of deficient bridges you got because we're giving you money. Well, they're not feeding the bulldog, but that's okay.
Right. The thing is that this contract, we can do that. We have the capability, the capacity to do that. This contract, we're pretty much limited. We can't re-engineer a bridge. We can keep it at the level of service it is currently at, or back up to what it was a few years ago. But to do replace a bridge and put a tin horn in, we have the capability, have the personnel to do that. The scour forgive me, it's been 34 years since I've done bridge design, but I know you have to go in and get the drainage area and all. But I mean, we definitely can do that, and we can gather the information that we need while we're the field information on this contract, but to actually, you know, come up with plans and all that would have to be a separate contract other than this.
Okay.
And we do have the ability to do that. So I'm not sure I answered that question real well for you.
I'm not sure I asked that question real well. So, as you go out and inspect the bridge, and it needs some serious repair done on it. One of the options is maybe to replace the bridge with a railroad car.
Yep,
Okay.
we've done that before.
We've done it a lot, and I mean, we really don't need a whole lot of engineering done on that because it's putting a pipe in a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Basically, and,
Yeah.
covering it up. But what we need is the basic hydrology studies done to tell us whether or not
The opening is big enough.
the opening is
Yeah.
big enough to carry the water through there. And that's kind of a long way to ask you, would
Yeah.
you be able to do that if, as an option, to fix this bridge
Sure.
that is seriously deficient?
Yeah, it just requires, basically what we have to do, like on the fracture critical side, we have to take a channel profile at the bridge. So we'd have to take that and then go in and map out the drainage area. But yeah, we've done that many times.
Okay.
Right.
Would that be an additional charge to the county?
I'm not sure. It depends on how the state would review that, but I mean, that's not a ton of work to do that.
Right.
I used to do it back in the days when they had the plan owner. You went around and did it by hand and figured out the drainage area. But yeah, it's but hydraulics is not my bailiwick here.
All right, sir. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, appreciate the opportunity and really enjoy doing your work.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
You want me to stick around till afterwards, or you?
Well, we're going to make a I assume we're going to make a decision right after
Okay.
we get finished with interviews.
Okay, I will stick around then.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Doing well. I hate to show up empty-handed, so I brought you basic handouts, more or less addresses the ODOT standard 8 questions. Pretty much the same stuff we'll talk about here as we go along.
Yeah. Well, welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And you are here representing CEC, I
Yes, sir.
assume? And for the record, would you state your name?
Aaron Finley.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. We all kind of know you. You currently do our bridge inspections for us, and we appreciate all the help that you've given us in the past. So we'll start with these questions and go through those. So item 1, what experience does your firm have inspecting different types of bridges in your area?
Yeah, the majority of our inspections are done by 3 of our qualified team leaders, and these guys have been team leaders for over 10 years, or a couple of them anyway. 2 of them have been, one's been team leader since 03, one since 05. Our newer guys have been team leaders since 2018, and he's been with the program doing other bridge inspection work for about 5 years before that. So those 3 guys that do the majority of inspections, like I say, they're very highly experienced. I pulled notes since about January of 2010, and those guys had looked at a cumulative total of just over 20,000 bridges. So they've been around, they've seen lots of bridges. Naturally, given that volume, they've seen all of the common types of bridges that are out on the, within the state. The I-beam bridges, pre-stressed concrete beam bridges, box culverts, all those common types. But with that volume, they've seen the less common types too, the remaining timber bridges, concrete arches, WPA bridges. They've seen all that kind of stuff. As Marvin said, we have had the opportunity to look at the Logan County inventory a couple of times too. And that does offer the advantage of some historical perspective. Sometimes when an inspector sees a defect, he's able to see a little bit, okay, this has been around for a while, so it's not terribly active, it's maybe not as urgent, or hey, this is something new that's popped up, it's more active and therefore more urgent. So they have that advantage as well.
Okay. Question 2, what ability and resources does your firm have to perform this type of work? It's kind of a mix of the first two.
Exactly, yeah, this is a natural outgrowth of that first question. I mentioned we have the 3 team leaders that do the majority of our field work. We actually have a total of 6 team leaders on staff. We got those 3 and then 3 more, including myself. Those other 3, like myself, have daily duties that are in other areas, so we're not in the field very often. Typically if I'm in the field, frankly, it means probably something bad has happened. Something's broken and these guys want another opinion on it. But we do, like I say, have a total of 6. One of those team leaders really heads up office efforts as well, working closely with Jerry Irvin up at Bridge Division. She administers the BRM software where they manage all that inspection data. And those three that are in the field all the time are also cross-trained in the use of that BRM software. So gives us some flexibility in work assignments. We can be all hands on deck in the field if we need to be to meet due dates that ODOT and the FHWA have. Then we can pull those guys back in and push on the deliverables as well to make sure that stuff goes out in a timely fashion. So it doesn't sound like a real big crew, but they're pretty productive. Any team leader on any given day averages about 12 bridges in the field. So across the course of 2 years, they can look at a lot of bridges.
Okay, sir. Question 3, what documents will your firm provide upon completion of the inspection? We get documents from you today from proof inspections, both the book and electronic, on CD. So anything new coming down the pike?
I don't have anything really new on my radar. I mean, like I say, you get your basic notebook and your map, and then electronic version of all that stuff. I don't have anything new really in the works that I'm planning on. We are fairly open to tailoring that. If you guys have a need that we're not addressing or something else you'd like to see, like I say, it's of course depending on the nature of the request, but typically it's pretty easy to tailor that according to your your desires. If you got something else you'd like to see there.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So you'd build a web page for us with all of our bridges where we could expand.
There was a little asterisk on that. I said depending on the request.
Okay.
That's a little outside my wheelhouse. I don't know about that.
Just you never know until you ask.
Just throw it out there, sure.
Okay. Let's see here. Item 4, or question 4. What quality assurance does your firm have to provide consistent, accurate results?
Yeah, a couple things on that. Once every inspection cycle, so once every couple of years, we do a formal quality assurance exercise where I will handpick 5 bridges for each of those active team leaders, pull their most recent reports that they've done, and meet with them on site at those bridges and really go over everything with a fine-tooth comb there on those. And what we're getting at with that is a couple of things. The first is that these guys have done this for a long time, which is a tremendous advantage. But every couple of years, there are some subtle changes, that come either again through ODOT or FHWA. And, a guy who's done this 10 plus years can kind of sometimes think, well, I know what I'm doing, and it's easy for him to fall back on historical knowledge instead of making sure he's current with all those little changes. So picking these bridges, and typically we try to pick bridges that have, frankly, they're kind of old and beat up, they got a lot going on. So picking these bridges where they have to really delve into those changes helps us to make sure that everybody's staying current with all those updated guidelines. The second thing that we're getting at with that exercise is really just consistency as a team. No matter how many guidelines and rules are out there, there's still a certain amount of subjectivity, some judgment calls, and we try to coach everybody to the point where we're as consistent as we can be. In an ideal world, no matter who from our team showed up to do your inspections, you get the exact same product. And that may never be perfectly attainable, but that's the direction we're trying to move all the time. And then kind of on a more day-to-day basis, again, the fact that your inspections are done by highly experienced inspectors, we think is kind of your first line of defense, so to speak, in terms of quality assurance. And then once one of those inspectors wraps up in a district, he'll bring the files back to the office, and he'll hand those over to that other, experienced field inspector, and they'll do a peer review. The second inspector kind of make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed on that data. There's a lot of nuance to how that stuff has to be coded to go in. If you change item A, you got to double check field B and tweak item C, some of that kind of stuff. And that peer review helps to make sure that stuff is cleaned up. And if they disagree on how something should be handled or they see a particular structural concern, then they'll flag that for my specific attention. So by the time we do get all those deliverables back out to you, each file should have been looked at least twice, if not 3 times.
Okay, thank you. Aaron. Question 5, how accessible is your firm to get in touch with?
We do try hard to be very accessible. You know, we got great staff at the front desk, but frankly, I hope you never have to deal with them. And you call me directly on my desk phone or my cell phone anytime. In this day and age, sometimes there are meetings and things where I can't take your call immediately. But if that happens, it should be minutes or hours before I get back to you. Not days or weeks.
Unless you're on a hunt trip in Colorado.
Well, unfortunately, I don't run into that very often. But
No, I did call you one time when you were in Colorado.
but
We got everything taken care of. I'm not
exactly. I
slanging
mean,
it all.
usually we can relay that to somebody who is local and get it taken care of. Our inspector, we have inspectors out of Oklahoma City and Duncan, so we're pretty local. All of our inspectors are on our payroll. They're they're not subs, so we control their schedule. They're all in Oklahoma all the time. We stay local here. So if something happens and you need somebody to come look at something right now, I'm sure we can be there within 24 hours.
So question 6, what's your firm's current workload?
If we kind of take what we're looking at right now, of course, we're interviewing with everybody at the same time, so you don't necessarily know where the chips fall. But if we just look at what we're doing right now, I'm guessing we're at about what I would call maybe 85% of sustainable capacity. I mean, the guys have stayed busy. We haven't had to, farm them out to a survey crew or anything to keep them busy. But there have been a couple lulls in the cycle where they've been moving a little slower, kind of stretching work just a little bit. So what we're really hoping to come out of this interview cycle with is basically retain what we had before and maybe pick up another county or two just to make sure those guys are running full speed the whole time.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Question 7, how will your firm react to critical findings?
Yeah, if our guys see anything in the field that they know is really and truly dangerous, I mean, like next truck across could fall through this thing, they're going to make a couple of phone calls right off the bat. They're going to call you guys or your foreman, whoever you designate as point of contact, and they're going to let me know, of course. And if it's really that dangerous, I mean, they've had occasions where they put the flashers on the truck and pull out and divert traffic. It doesn't come to that very often. If there is something that they are, again, that concerned about, when they've called you from the field, they're going to try to set a meeting with you before they ever leave the site. Again, get somebody to come out there and look at it with them so they can explain, here's our concerns, and talk about what is our near-term course of action. Do we need to close the bridge completely? Can we leave a lane open? Can we make a repair? Have that kind of conversation. There are times when an inspector sees something that he's very concerned about, but he doesn't necessarily want to pull that trigger just yet, hang that CX condition and initiate that whole process. So he'll bring that information back to the office, and he and I will go over his notes and pictures before he leaves out again the next morning. If at that time we agree that it is indeed critical, then I'll make that call to you. So, it might be that following day, but you're still talking about within 24 hours of discovery. Bottom line is we're not going to make it, have a critical situation that just gets folded into a report and handed back to you weeks later. We're going to address it, immediately.
Okay, thanks, sir. And then question 8. Why should we pick your consulting firm above the others?
Yeah, I think we are kind of in a unique niche amongst the people that are out there doing inspection work right now. We're not, you've seen our list of people. We've talked about the resources we have. We're not necessarily the biggest, fanciest, most specialized, but we do a lot of exactly this. This is I hate to say it, we're kind of a one-trick pony in the inspection world. We do routine inspection in Oklahoma. We do a lot of it, and that's what we do. That's our program. But all of our guys, but we do have our own fully, self-sufficient crew that does that. So we're not as big as some of the guys, but we're more equipped than some of the folks that have had to kind of scale down and use subs and things like that. And also, for years and years, we've done this alongside county design work, and that gives us some perspective, frankly, on county resources and abilities. And we don't have a lot of latitude in how we handle the inspection work, recommendations and so forth, but within the latitude that we do have, we try to lean on that design experience and just the kind of the working partnerships we've had with counties to try to be the most practical partner that we can.
Okay, sir. And then the 2 that I added, right? So we'll go back to how will your firm react to such things as bridges found that's not currently on the bridge list?
Yeah.
We run into that.
And the fact that question's on there makes me nervous. Like maybe, I don't know if we stubbed our toe and didn't handle that right. The way that's supposed to work is it should be fairly straightforward. Either our guys are driving around, they discover a bridge, or you are and you call us. We get up there and treat it basically like it's already on the inventory. We do the whole normal inspection. And then when we submit that data to ODOT, we request an MDI number. There's a special form they have for that. We request an MDI number and it goes into the inventory at that time. And it should fall, basically in line with the rest of them the next time. It'll be done on an odd date, so it's out of cycle. Typically, we would just pick it up, it would be due 2 years from that initial inspection. Well, if the rest of them are due 6 months from now, we would just go ahead and pick it back up, even though it's not really due yet. So then they're all done at the same time, and you get all your data together. So like I said, that's kind of how that should work. Should be pretty straightforward process.
So I think the way this last one went was the weeds had grown up so much that when they measured the top, they measured from where the weeds were at to where the weeds weren't,
120 feet long at that point.
And it wasn't, but the bridge top from stem wall to stem wall was well over 24. It was 30 feet.
Wow.
Long across there, because we took it out and put in a railroad car or a tanker car. And anyway, so that brings me to item 10. With over 200 bridges on our county, in our county, and over half of those are deficient, how will your firm help the county reduce the number of total bridges and deficient bridges in the county? In that regard, again, where we have bridges and we find that there's a problem with those, what I'm looking for is maybe a suggestion of how to replace the bridge without building another bridge there. You see where I'm going with this?
Pipe size, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hydrology study, a quick hydrology study says that if you had a 10-foot tall tanker car put in here at 45 feet long, that would carry the water instead of having the bridge here. We don't have to. I mean, every time we get to flush a bridge down the drain, right? It's a win for us.
You bet.
Right?
Yeah, and we can do that. I mean, ODOT is kind of particular about what they call, where they draw the lines between bridge inspection under this contract and what they call it, program management or whatever, and they say that we're not supposed to do program management services. Historically, we have always considered pipe sizing for bridge replacement to be part of the bridge inspection stuff, so we don't have a problem doing that. Frankly, it doesn't take very long. It's not that big a deal.
Right.
I would say when we're talking about that, it's typically a basic desktop effort where we pull a drainage area and we're just using some real basic formulas to see what pipe will handle that. It's very good in my opinion for rural areas when you don't have a lot of houses very close to that stream crossing. So in many places in Logan County, perfectly great. I would say there are some places when you're getting closer to the edge of town that we might just take it case by case and see if that's a good fit or not. The last thing we want to do is make an assumption there and then have somebody get water on them that didn't have it before. That's a lose-lose for everybody. But in terms of doing that kind of as a standard practice, hey, this is a small bridge, it's not in good shape, can we look at a pipe replacement? Yeah, that's not a problem at all.
That's correct, and that's exactly the way this got handled the last time too. I asked, can we replace this because the problem we were having was the weight limitations on it didn't allow concrete trucks to go back and forth.
Right.
And the people were needing to, they wanted to build onto their homes and build homes and around the river up north, and they couldn't get across that thing, right? So how best, we didn't want to spend $500,000 to put a new bridge in there to do that when we could spend $16,000 and put a pipe in there and do that. But you guys helped us out with that, and I appreciate that. Anything else you would like to add, sir?
I don't think so. I think that pretty much covers us for this morning.
All right, I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for
Appreciate you guys including us in your process again.
Have a good day.
You too.
ESD. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Okay.
And we are going to call, we have one more that could not be here today, Bernie Holder. So I'm going to throw him on speakerphone here with us.
Hello, David.
Hey Bernie, I stuck you on speakerphone with everybody so that you're here for this.
Okay.
Bernie apologizes for not being able to be here in person today. He had another that he was not able to get out of. First and foremost, thank you all for the invite to be here today to tell you a little bit about what EST and Lochner team can do for you guys for your off-system bridge inspections. EST has partnered with Lochner on this to be able to provide the top level of service possible to Logan County. Combining both of our resources allows us to have all of the best available people to be able to be available at the time that you all need it. Our project manager is Bernie Holder, and then our deputy project manager is Troy Travis. Below that, you can see our load rating engineers and our team leaders. If you'll notice, all of our load rating engineers and team leaders on this project are all PEs. Many of them are fracture critical certified. All of our team leaders live here in the state of Oklahoma, are available to work on the bridges here in the state of Oklahoma. And then I'm going to throw it to Bernie and let him tell you a little bit about his experience.
See how they want to do the format first.
Okay.
How would
Thank you.
we'll be back up.
David.
Hey Bernie, hold on one second. Our presentation just kind of runs straight through the questions. Would you all like to go through it that way, or would you like to actually ask the questions and have us answer them?
Well, I don't have to ask the questions as long as they get addressed, right? So if you've got a presentation that covers that, we've allowed the other ones to, provide their presentations as they would like to. But I think that, as long as you tell us what question you're covering at the time, right? So we can check that off. And then I've got two at the end, right?
Okay, of course.
That we need to ask and talk about. But that's my opinion. Does the board have any other?
I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Okay. Let's do that.
Follow along, and then we'll point out the questions as we come across them. Bernie, if you want to go ahead and jump in and tell them a little bit about your experience.
Okay. Well, your first question is, what experience do we have inspecting various types of bridges in our area? And you can see on the right side of the page, on page 3 of the presentation, there's a list of counties and cities that EST has provided inspections for over the last decade. And you can call them and ask them what you think of our service, and I hope, and they will give you shining recommendations, I hope. But as far as myself, I've been in the bridge inspection industry for 22 years, and the last 5 have been with EST, and where we've done Cushman-Tallahassee County and the city of Moore. And before that, I was with TxDOT, and I was with them for 17 years, and I managed the bridge inspections for over 2,000 bridges in the Parish District of TxDOT, and of all kinds of bridges, concrete, steel, timber, and trusses, and performed many load ratings on those structures, and worked with cities and counties and state officials to help them to make, and recommended for them to make repairs to their bridges and to make their load ratings improve. So I've been on your side of the fence. I've been a bridge owner, so I kind of know what it's like for me to limp along and to make the bridge last longer with limited funds. With that, I'll turn it back over to Troy and let him talk about his experience.
Okay. Thank you, Bernie, and Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Greatly appreciate this opportunity to interview with you today. My background began with ODOT Bridge Division over 30 years ago. I worked there for 8 years, progressed to be the bridge management engineer across the state. At that time, I was programming which bridges got replaced, which bridges got repaired for ODOT. You asked earlier what we could possibly do to help you manage your program and improve your network. I've got that background in being a bridge management engineer. Then progressed out to the ODOT Field Division 7, which is down in Duncan. It's a 9-county area where I was the local government engineer. This was the situation back before CEDs ever existed. At that time, I was fulfilling the role in ODOT's behalf, kind of as the CED, helping the counties keep their projects moving forward, also making sure all their bridge inspections got completed on time. Then became the maintenance engineer in Division 1 out in Muskogee, and thought I was going to actually retire there because I'm from Tahlequah originally. But then I got the opportunity to be the director of Turnpike Authority, engineer for Turnpike Authority. There I was a bridge owner for roughly 600 bridges. So I've been from statewide, which had roughly 6,000 bridges. Division 7 had 800 bridges. Division 1 had 600 bridges, and then Turnpike had 600 bridges. For the last 5 years, I've served as the office lead for the Lochner, Oklahoma offices. You can see down there the lower small text, the EC numbers, the BC, CIs. Those are all, I'm looking at slide 4. Those are all ODOT related contracts related to bridge inspection, bridge appraisals, bridge rehabs, and that doesn't even include the bridge replacement projects. Those are just in the last 5 years. If you look at the list over to the right, every now and then ODOT falls behind on their bridge inspections. So they reach out to the private industry to help them catch up. Lochner's been one of those firms to help them catch up. On the column there down to the right, all the county cities, those are local governments we have served in just the last 4 years. Again, as Bernie said, we recommend you reach out to them for any references that we think they'll speak glowingly about us. And that answers the first question, and it's the longest answer related to team experience.
Good, I was hoping that all 10 of them weren't gonna be that long.
No, they were not. Not much more concise, but the experience goes, we feel like we have a great experience. The next presentation, or next question is team ability and resources. In this case, as David said, we have teamed up with EST. Together, we've got over 40 offices. The reason we teamed up with EST, you'll see that they have an extensive investment in Oklahoma with 8 offices. Lochner has made the converse. We've made the extensive investment in all the bridge inspectors here locally. Again, you saw the first page, all the PEs, all the fracture critical experience. With that, we feel like this is a good complementary team, teaming up EST and Lochner. Together, we have over 9 qualified team leaders, all but 1 are PEs, 4 approved ODOT load raters, and just basically, you can see Lochner's office began here in Oklahoma over 28 years ago. We won ODOT's very first fracture critical inspection contract, and we've been involved in bridge inspection ever since, and that's where we began. And that answers that question. Regarding our inspection documents we provide, I brought an example of what we did for the city of Guthrie. We just did this in April. You can see it's a nicely bound book. We've got a Z-fold map that comes out, shows all their bridges. One of the things you mentioned about new bridges being added, they actually had a bridge here on College Avenue that the city of Guthrie said was not theirs. And so I assume that'll go back onto the Logan County maps. But so there are cases where ODOT approved that. So I give you that heads up. So we'll be providing.
Well, the battle's not over yet, I can tell you that.
I don't doubt that.
Not accepting
There's many
that
times
bridge.
cities and counties don't always agree, but right now ODOT says it's Logan counties. And
You'll be wrong. ODOT's always wrong.
that could be understood too. We'll be providing you a list showing all of your bridges, whether they need repairs or not. If they don't need repairs, we'll have a blank on them. If they need a prioritized list, we have FXs, CXs, PXs. Those are all a degree of criticality. And we'll have a highlight of anything that needs special attention. We'll also be showing you which ones are functionally obsolete, structurally deficient, and should you want to, we can also show you which ones are at risk of becoming structurally deficient. They're just one stage away. Some counties like that, some counties do not. We'll have a summary, number your bridges, your average bridge age, and show you roughly how many bridges, if you just want to stay even, what kind of investment you need to make. Roughly, ODOT tells me that you have 214 bridges. That means each year your bridge inventory is getting 214 years older. And so you need to be able to add back into your system at least 214 years just to stay even. Right now, a new bridge is forecasted to last 75 years, so that's roughly 3 bridges a year that needs to be invested in Logan County. Again, we'll provide all the inspections. Each bridge I have tabulated by your local number. Makes it easy to flip to, and just that way you're not really running through a book. It's very handy to use. You asked also about bridge management. This is something we did for the city of Oklahoma City. We're looking at slide 7. Oklahoma City had 600 bridges. We created a mapping and GIS unit. You can see the big major map was broken up into 9 panels. That's because Oklahoma City is so huge. It goes from Pottawatomie County all the way up to Canadian County. We built them an index off to the side, all that they could put on the wall showing which ones were structurally deficient, which were functionally obsolete. Everything's color-coded by load posting, and just gave them a tool that they never had before. Again, I've got the summary of how Oklahoma City compares to Logan County there. Right now, ODOT tells me that you have 214 bridges, 244 inspections, 73 structurally deficient, 34 functionally obsolete. We don't have access to your inventory directly because we're not currently your service provider, but that's our best information that ODOT has allowed us to gain. Hopefully that's somewhat accurate.
Oh, it's from ODOT, so it's suspect.
Pardon me?
I said it's from ODOT, so it is suspect.
It's right now, it's the only information I have access to.
That's our problem too.
Compiled by the lowest bidder.
Next question is about quality control, quality assurance. I'll answer the first question, Bernie will answer the second portion. Our quality control begins before we ever leave for the field division. We have our tracking sheet, making sure we now have everything lined up. We have the proximity of where the bridges are, any special equipment we need to take to the field, we have that lined up. Any measurements we need to take for load ratings, let's see. This particular cycle, 77 of the bridges are supposed to be scheduled for load rating. So prior to going to the field, we'll make sure we have what we need, what measurements we need to do, all in effort to be efficient when we go to the field. Once we go through the field, we have our checklist, make sure everything's followed by our inspectors. And then it comes back to quality assurance, and I'll turn it over to Bernie for quality assurance, slide 9.
Okay, with slide number 9, quality assurance continues as we get into the office and develop our reports. We follow a checklist for the report development, and that helps us to make sure that we do it in a timely manner and that nothing is left out, and that the reports are accurate and concise and say what they need to. And then we get our team leaders, multiple team leaders, to review the reports, review each other's reports, and then the project manager reviews the reports as well. Finally, we do follow-up inspections behind the team leaders too, or the project manager does, to make sure that the team leaders are doing their inspections properly and that they're thorough, and that they're taking all the physical measurements accurately, and make sure that they're taking proper photographs and that the captions are actually saying what they ought to. And we just do this to make sure that the team leaders are doing thorough inspection. It gives us an independent verification of the quality of their work. And that covers our quality assurance program. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Troy to talk about our team accessibility.
Like Bernie said, our quality assurance, we always make sure before you ever see any document that it's been reviewed by multiple eyes and multiple qualified folks.
Before you get too far away from there, I got a quick question on something you had on your slide here. The ODOT information, I'm going to go back and hammer that for just a minute. Can you tell me what the difference between structurally deficient and functionally obsolete is?
I can. Structurally deficient is primarily, it's a condition degradation.
Right.
Functionally obsolete is basically when a bridge was built, in many cases, they're built in the 30s. They were not built for the anticipated loads. So one could be a capacity. I mean, it may have been a bridge that was designed to carry 15 tons. Today, functionally, it's no longer adequate. It's obsolete.
Something like an 18-foot wide WPA bridge built in 1934 that's on Broadway. That's one of my busiest roads.
That's very probable.
Okay.
So that's one
Oftentimes
that
it's a
you
width.
actually got ahead of me, because one way to get functionally obsolete is by the load posting. Another way to get functionally obsolete is based upon the lane width of the bridge. In many cases, you'll have a wide road, 24-foot road, and then all of a sudden comes to the 18 or the 20-foot road. And that makes it functionally obsolete. When the bridge does not match the approach roadway, then it becomes functionally obsolete. And so basically you got it based on geometrics, and then you also have it based on load capacity. That would be the functionally obsolescence. Structurally deficient is usually basically more condition-based. It's more based on deterioration. To some degree, it can get into the original load capacity.
Okay then. Back to Q5. Jump back forward to question 5.
Question 5,
Yeah.
the accessibility.
Oh, accessibility. Okay, thank you. As far as team accessibility, right now you've got David Russell here, Carla Bonner, myself. We definitely are very available. We're all right here in Oklahoma City. On the Lochner team, we also have Evan Ludwig. He's actually a Logan County resident. Lochner has 3 of our 15 employees in Oklahoma City. 3 actually live in Logan County. I believe 2 are in your district, Honey, and 1's in Cody. Our offices are here in Oklahoma City. Again, we've got this great team together. We've got here in Oklahoma, I'm going to say roughly 200 employees. Definitely very skilled and available. I know not all the firms you're interviewing today have that same level of accessibility.
We provide our cell phones for everyone. We are available to you day or night. We know that your problems don't just happen Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So when you have an issue arise on a bridge, we're available to you when you need us.
And that's one of the reasons you see us here in numbers. We want to demonstrate our availability. As far as team workload, we've got this presented on slide 11. Basically what this shows is a 4-year calendar and the local governments that our 2 teams together are serving. The portion that you're interviewing today is highlighted there in blue. It begins in April of 2022 and extends forward 2 years. We forecasted our current workload. Some of the local governments are still going through and making reselections. I just actually found out this weekend Midwest City reselected us. So almost everybody who has used this in the past has chosen to reselect us. We think that speaks highly for us. Right now forecasting Logan County, you have some 12-month inspections coming due in March of 2023, and then the bulk of your network is due for inspection in 2024. We, again, with our 9 team leaders, our 4 load raters, and we're not done there. We're continuing to invest in new team leaders. We're continuing to invest in new load raters. So we definitely have the capacity to serve you guys at a very high level. And hopefully, once you select us, you'll choose to select us again. Next question is, how will we manage critical findings? First of all, before we ever go to the bridge site, you'll actually know we're out there inspecting your bridges. We'll be giving you a heads up. Once we get out there on the bridge site, which again, I see the number of structurally deficient bridges you have, a high possibility that you'll have a critical finding. Our inspectors will be calling you from the bridge. We'll be able to text you a photo of what the issue is. We'll have something kind of from the back, so give you context, something zoomed in for detail. You can decide whether you want to come out and meet us at the bridge site or not. We know you're elected to keep your roads open and safely as best you can, and we want to help you be able to do that. Give you a chance at first, before getting the ODOT and federal highway involved, we want to give you a chance to mitigate whatever issue that may be. Should you not be able to mitigate it very quickly, of course there is a protocol that's in the inspection manual we have to follow. We have a strong history. We probably have about 4 to 5 critical findings a month. We're definitely used to going through that process and managing that detail. But once we have a critical finding where we do have to notify everybody, we'll be making inputs in my Outlook calendar, day 7, day 14, day 28, making sure nothing slips through the cracks, and I'm required to give you reminders that this bridge needs to either be closed or mitigated to help you make sure you stay eligible for federal and state funding. Definitely the emphasis on this is follow up, and never letting things slip through the cracks. And I'll let David close us. So, slide 13.
First and foremost, our commitment is to you all. You all lead these inspections. We work for you. We always make sure that before any critical findings are made, you all are notified ahead of time. One of your additional questions is what could we do to help you reduce the number of fracture critical bridges that you currently have on your inventory? Structurally deficient. We will always provide recommendations to you before we file any paperwork with ODOT. We want you all to have the first option. Oftentimes there's some low-cost option that you guys can come out and perform a little bit of maintenance on the bridge to keep it from needing to be filed. So we'll always reach out to you all first, give you the options. We're always available to you. The combining of EST and Lochner together has allowed us to have the 9 certified load rating engineers that we can have available to work on your projects whenever you need it. We have a constant commitment to you that we're available at any time that you need us, and make sure that you guys have the absolute best service possible for your off-system bridge inspections.
And I would emphasize that you have Bernie, who's been a former bridge owner. You have me, who's been a former bridge owner. We know you're working with limited resources. We know Logan County is not flush with a plenitude of funds. And there's things you can do to put Band-Aids on it, but ultimately it does come down to money, of trying to get something up 100% safe and to where we want to get. And to some degree, we think our inspection processes will help you show that need, demonstrate that need. As I said, hopefully you're investing 214 years worth of life back into your network. And I think we have the resources and capabilities to provide that for you.
With the previous bridge owners, we have a full understanding of the trials and tribulations that you guys fight on a day-to-day basis trying to maintain your bridge system. So we're here to help you guys, help manage that and extend the life of those bridges in any way that we can.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and cover the question 9 and 10 that we talked about. So that would be, how would your firm react to such items as finding bridges not currently listed on our county bridge list?
So we would bring that information back to you all. Whether you want that to be added to your inventory or not is a decision of the county. So if you all decided that you wanted that bridge on your inventory, we would help you all file the appropriate paperwork with ODOT and request an MBI number for it and have it added to your inventory. Again, adding that will be the decision of the county. That if you all want it added so that you receive the federal funding for that structure, we'll file the paperwork with ODOT to have it added to your inventory.
But there are minimum requirements. It's a measurement along the center line of the bridge as you travel down the roadway. If it exceeds, if it matches 20 feet or longer, it should be included in the inventory, or it should be closed. But basically, it's the same sort of thing. If you have a battery pipes, there's all definitions in the inspection manual of what qualifies as a bridge, what does not qualify as a bridge.
Right. I get that. One question, you said qualifies for federal funding. What do you mean by that? Because we haven't got any federal funding other than when one got washed completely out, and we used CERB money to replace it with, and there was I think a 10% match or something like that with federal, but that was a different deal. So what did you mean by federal funding? funding? Because our county doesn't get any federal funding for bridges.
Well, even just the state funding, when it comes down to the funding availability for your bridge inspections or anything else, or in the event that that bridge was found and there was some FEMA money or anything available for it, if the bridge wasn't on your inventory, the county wouldn't be able to seek any FEMA reimbursement for that.
Okay, thanks, sir. And question 10 was, with over 200 bridges in the county and over half of them deficient or structurally, whatever that other term was, how will your firm help the county reduce the number of total bridges and deficient and unfunctional bridges that we have? What I'm getting at is, as we find bridges that are structurally deficient, a lot of those are the smaller bridges that we have. We have a lot of small bridges. And small bridges can be replaced with non-bridges. And with something as simple as a hydrology study being done, there's a recommendation that could be made when we get a bridge report on something that's got, scoured out and it needs to have a lot of work done to it to just keep it in place. And where keeping it in place is probably not the most efficient thing that we could do. Our ability to reduce the total number of bridges that we have is something that would be most helpful. So that's kind of the basis of the question. So if you'd like to respond to that.
Sure. You're standing up here. Look at
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you said, many small bridges are out there. Sometimes they do wash out, and sometimes they are put back in by pipes, and sometimes those pipes are out there by 5 years. Currently, Federal Highway is going through and trying to do an audit for all those bridges that are over 5 years old that are still temporary and try to get them removed from the system. So that would be a goal. As you mentioned, one of the number of ways a bridge fails or becomes structurally deficient is scour. To some degree, those are actually some of the easier ones to fix. To some degree, a lot of times, dumping a load of riprap goes a long way. And those are actually fairly easy. You can usually back up or get some access to dump a load of riprap. And that greatly, even if it can't be removed due to downsizing of the structure there, sometimes it can be mitigated by just adding the scour. The downside is that whenever you do something like that, it's not always an immediate removal. Scour-related issues require a time period to show that your scour mitigation has been effective. And so sometimes there's a delay of 2 to 4 years in the cycle to get that removed off your system, but it is a great step, and your successors will be appreciative of that. Again, I think we can help you. A lot of times there are a lot of band-aid things we can do. We can patch beam ends. We can put in new bearing devices, or very, very cheap when you consider the price of a bridge, anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per bearing device. Easily it can be jacked up, put the new bearing in, and get it back out, and now you've made a major investment in a $500,000 bridge.
Or even come in and drive one single pile down next to another one. We'll always come to you guys with a cost-effective option for a way that you guys can maximize the life of that structure with the lowest financial impact to Logan County. As previous bridge owners, we know you guys are on very limited funds, and that limited funding keeps decreasing every time you turn around. So we want to make sure you guys have all of the cost-effective options we can possibly bring to you to let you make the best decision for Logan County.
We're very committed to this. It's something that Bernie and I are passionate about. It's something we've dedicated over 20 years of our life to. And before we leave the work world, we want to share as much knowledge to the next generation as possible of what can be done. And so with that, we just know it's passionate. We want to make a difference for Logan County.
Thank you all.
Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you.
Just shut Bernie off now.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bernie.
Thank you.
Bring your other.
Yeah. Okay. What you have on BN?
39.
What you have on CDC?
83.
Mine?
56.
86?
56.
56. You just don't give a whole lot of points, do you? Okay, EST?
80.
80. Mine?
52.
Okay, I think if y'all can see where we're gonna go with that. CEC, looks like we came out on top.
You wanna do the,
With the total,
you wanna do item 22?
item 22. Well, we could.
Is that what it was?
Yes, that's what I was adding, totaling those up, right? So, we don't have a resolution today, but we will have one for next meeting, we'll sign it.
I think, Troy, you got a resolution that you can type
They
up?
give us a form, but I couldn't add it, so if you wanna take action, I can prepare it, then you can just sign it. I
Okay,
mean, so,
that sounds good.
I'd like to do that.
61, yeah, me too. Get it out of the way. 39. So BNN scored 171 points on our.
And just for comments, I think this is kind of a goofy procedure to follow. I mean, you're interviewing someone for a job and they got the questions before we got them. It don't make a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like ODOT having a list of engineers. You can pick any engineer you want as long as they're on our list, you know, on ODOT's list. Right? So, same kind of deal. I agree, sir. Okay, the total scores, BNN had 171 points in our ranking. EST had 199 points in our ranking, and CEC had 210. So, given that, I'd like to propose we take action based on those ratings.
I'll make a motion to go with CEC.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for CEC for our next bridge inspection. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to thank them, y'all for coming in.
Thank you,
Giving us
guys.
the
Yeah.
opportunity to be here.
We appreciate
Thanks
it.
a lot.
All right, thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. So, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
can I remind you all at the back of that is some documents that need signed, and we need to gather them all up.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The non-disclosure in your score sheets I have to have.
You'd have each individual.
Non-disclosure, that would be me, my signature.
Do we have to print everybody's name, or will you?
I'll take care of that. I just need to make sure I get that.
I got it. I guess you
You're so welcome, thank you.
can have my whole pack.
Yeah, I think that'd be easiest, unless you all just want.
I am for less pain, always.
So we need to sign the ones on the back?
Yeah, and the non-disclosures.
that signed there, Coach?
No, I'll sign it.
I'll catch him before he leaves.
Okay. So I entertain a motion for a short recess.
I'll move. How long?
Second.
10 minutes.
Okay.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're recessed for 10 minutes. Be back at, what is it? 10 minutes. 38. All right, I'd like to call this meeting back into session. Thank y'all. All right, so we're gonna move item 6 to the end. Item 7, consideration of possible action on ingress and egress agreement with Moneymaker for using property for placing removed trees.
I'll move with approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Here you go, gentlemen. Okay. Item 8, consideration of possible action on resolution to declare surplus equipment for District 2, which is a 2020 Vcon mulcher. Mulcher?
Yep, that's that fecal mulcher.
I'll make a motion with approve.
I will second.
Yeah, okay. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. All right, item 9, consideration possible action on resolution accepting $604 dyslexia donation from American Countryside Homes LLC to District 2 for rock to be placed on Lakewood Drive between Charter Oak and Gina Circle or Circuit Court. Okay, CT Court.
I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on item 9? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 10, consideration of possible action on resolution accepting $2,000 donation from Jerry Pfeiffer to District 3 for rock on Pine North of Highway 51.
I'll make a motion with approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the $2,000 donation. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item 11, consideration of possible action on cooperative agreement between Logan County and Larry Mendsell for maintenance of Simmons Road, beginning at the intersection of Simmons Road and Luther Road, proceeding east approximately 1/4 mile to the dead end.
What this is we've got Larry Mendsell's getting ready to do a lot of development out there off of Luther and Simmons. So he's wanting to help us by doing some dirt work, and we'll put some rock and shell down. So he's wanting to help out because he knows we're stretched with the resources that we have. He's already provided us with his insurance, his liability insurance, plus the contract has been written and signed and approved by the board.
Okay, I move we approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item 12, consideration of possible action on resolution establishing 2022 county holidays.
So our annual resolution is followed, there's one exempt section to what our state holidays are. When I went to look what the state had, I found one that for Christmas of 22, they were doing the Friday, which would be the day before Christmas Eve on Saturday, and they were doing Monday, which would be the day after Christmas on Sunday, which is what is set up. If the holiday's on Saturday, you go on Friday, on Sunday, on Monday. Then I found another area where the state opted to take Monday and Tuesday and not do the split. I drew this up on the 1st, the Friday and the Monday. 1, it follows what we already have in practice. 2, that last week of the year with taxes being collected and all to close Monday and Tuesday might be a little difficult in that last week of the year, the split between Friday and Monday. So we can alter that date if you all choose to, but that's how this is set up for right now.
Okay. I don't have an issue either ways.
Oh, we still says Columbus Day on here, so I move we approve.
A second.
Was that wrong?
Not at all. Weeks, not
We don't sign that.
the state.
Yeah.
Good.
Didn't know if you wanted to review it first. We've already motioned it second.
I'm waiting for him to call a vote.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Sorry, Monty, I got sidetracked there.
That's fine with me. Just hanging out.
All right, consideration and possible action on 2022 schedule of regular meetings of the Board of County Commissioners of Logan County.
So this follows our normal first Monday, 15th, or the Friday before and the last business day. The exception being July 1st, first day of the fiscal year, we will meet on July 1st.
Move we approve.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the meeting schedule for next year. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Although I think we ought to meet about 5 or 6 more times a month, you know, just so we have something to do.
I think you're gonna get outvoted.
Thank you. And then special meetings.
Yeah, they're special. Thanks, Monty. Okay, item 14, consideration of possible action on transfer of funds from county clerk preservation fee to qualified department for $30,000 to loan to June 30, 2022 to be used for Homeland Security grant. And this is the county clerk being nice, and we can legally do this, loan money so they can buy their radio systems, and then it'll be paid back on June.
No later than June 30th.
Yeah, no later than, well, once the funds come in, the reimbursement funds come in,
Right.
then you get paid back.
Right.
So, thank you, ma'am, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Bonnie?
No.
Okay.
Good.
All right, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 9 for items 15 and 16.
Okay. Item 17, consideration possible action to approve the following temporary road crossing permits for H2 services. A 12-inch water line parallel County Road 63, MacArthur, and parallel County Road 63, 1.75 miles east of Meridian. Sounds like,
I'm assuming they followed all the rules.
Yeah, these are just temps.
then they sent money.
They still gotta clear with land.
They have signed the necessary certificates.
I'll move we approve.
A second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the temporary road crossings. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Been a while since we done it.
Yeah. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously, I think. Item 18, discussion and possible action on consent agenda.
There's payroll.
to not so free fair. Nothing free about it.
Transfers. Blanket purchase orders.
It is getting close to winter time. Gotta have them blankets.
Officer reports.
I just love the name of that. From County Clerk's Cash Book.
That's the thing back before.
Oh, okay. You got a whole book full of cash.
Mm-hmm. Sure we do.
You can start, Brian.
Yeah. Can we get a loan too, by the way?
Sure. Small.
Small, like 300,000?
No, sorry. Might have to pay a sheriff or something to do. That's it for consent.
All right.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
I approve, I will second.
Okay. Good. That's okay. Have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. Item 19, discussion and possible action on approving claims for payment for November. Okay, where did I sign this one? motion for claims?
I'll move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for item 19 to pay claims. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Mom, did you say aye?
I did.
Okay. Item 20, discussion and possible action on approving purchase card payment for November 2021 in the amount of $2,826.69 for such things as work boots. Ordering those online. That's cool. Keypad. Okay. For the fairgrounds, what's the keypad for, you know?
I have to look at that. Yeah, I think it's a door key, that lock.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Bluetooth hybrid. Okay. Red LED sign. We're keeping birds in binders now. It says Cardinal 3 ring. Oh, let me sign it. Entertain motion. Did you already do that? I don't think so.
No, not yet.
Entertain a motion on the purchase card.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second on the P card. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
passes unanimously. And so we've done item 21 and 22 already. Item 23, consideration of possible action to enter executive session pursuant to Title 25, Section 307, Paragraph B1, discussion of employment, hiring, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or resigning of any individual's salary, public officer or employee, i.e. fairgrounds caretaker. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I make a motion to enter executive session.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are hereby going into executive session for just a bit. Okay, we're back in regular session. Thank you, gentlemen. Item 24. Return to regular session and vote to take any necessary action related to executive session identified above for the employment, hiring, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, resignation of any individual salaried public employee, i.e. fairgrounds caretaker. What we've done is we've drafted a letter for the caretaker, reassigning him to duties that he can perform based on his physical limitations that have been documented by medical professionals. And this document assigns him to staff here at the courthouse maintenance staff. And so we've discussed that, and I will entertain a motion to accept and put this memorandum forward for Mr. Kennard Younger's signature.
And just to be clear, we're going to cover the fairgrounds until they're able to.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Yes, sir. This memorandum assigns Kennard to report to the Board of County Commissioners, and yes, sir, we certainly will make sure that the Fair Board's not left in a lurch until they can get someone else hired there to do that.
I'll move with it.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve this memorandum. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. 6. We're going to jump back to item 6 that we moved to the end. Consideration possible action to establish redistricting plan for each commission district. All right, gentlemen, I got 3 very drafty plans here for us to look at. These plans are in no way to be considered something that I'm offering that we adopt today, but to talk about some of the things that can be done and might be done, and for us all to look at what needs to be done. I didn't bring the total numbers of the, I think I sent those out earlier, but District 1 and District 3 need to adjust their numbers. And District 2 is almost right on key with what you're supposed to have. So your numbers up and down are not that much, but between District 3 and District 1, it's around a 2,000 person swing, a little less than 2,000, but that's kind of where we're at. So I need to lose just a little less than 2,000 people, and Monty, you need to gain that same number approximately. So this first plan A is one that runs down. It just adjusts the District 1 and District 3 numbers to where they're almost equal. Almost. Well, it gets them within the 5% range, right? So Molly, you would be short 2%, and I'm over about 1.3% on numbers. This first number is the number of people in each district under each plan. The second number is the number of road miles for each plan. It's very difficult to get those close when we've got a county that most of the growth is happening in the southern part of the county. I mean, it's just exploding down there. I almost like this Plan A, Monty, except that it goes too far south, I think. It puts you way too far south in the county. Not that you don't need to be down there, but I don't think you want to have to drive all the way down there to do road maintenance and respond to that. I'm thinking that, anything south of Seward Road, we should look to try and find something north of Seward Road. And there are other areas over here to the west side of Guthrie, over where our shop's at, and just outside the city limits to the west side of Guthrie, where you could pick up some people under a plan like this and not have to go so far south.
Well, just to be clear, I'm not gonna like A, B, or C.
Well, I just to be clear, I don't need to. All right, that's why I said I didn't bring this here as, wanting us to adopt one of these today. This is just a starting point for discussion, right?
I'll just take everything north of the river and we'll call it good.
Everything north of the river. Well,
Plan B.
so
We'll just move some people up there.
that's what I was thinking. We're going to have to hijack a neighborhood and get Sheriff. What's your spin on that? Can we just go ahead and tell folks they got to move up to North Park?
No, I got to work with all 3 of you. So this is a decision you guys need to make without my input.
Very diplomatic of you.
I know my place.
Very diplomatic of you. Monty, if you look at the third page here, it's got numbers and it's got so the green line is yellow line is the proposed under this. But my point is that we can get, over here where it says Lombardy Road, just north of there, you see that 241? That's 241 people that live in that area, that's in that little district. And then there's another over here to the west that's still inside the city limits, 284 and 121. You see that? That could be a part of yours as well. And even further, just on the other side of Broadway over there, I mean, honestly, if that's what it took to give you more people closer to the river, without, giving you additional road miles, that would be actually 2 miles of county road that you would have, a half mile of Broadway and a half mile of, was that Kelly over there?
Yeah. Well, the problem is, I understand this is what we gotta do with this, no doubt about it. But, it's showing me at 577 miles, you at 256, but yet we're gonna have the same amount of money. It just don't make sense.
Well,
And I know that's,
I understand what you're saying, but the further south we get, the more asphalt people drive on, the more activity that's down there as well. I mean, up in the northern part, there is some traffic on the rural roads, but most of the people that travel up there travel on state highways, north and south.
well, no, every time it rains, I gotta grade the road.
I get that. Every time it rains, I gotta grade ours is
Blacktop.
well, the ones over Cashin we do, yes, sir. I mean, I've got a few of those myself. But
At the end of the day, it ain't gonna change.
I
might as
would
well
love-
adopt one and go with it because nothing we can do about it. Yeah, we have to do it. It's the law. That's what they said before, is for us to follow. But it don't mean we gotta like it.
well, no.
But this Plan A, it is a long way south.
Yeah, and that's what I really don't like that. And then, we adjusted some of that right there at, not sure, Forest Hills. We took the corner of that housing addition off of going over to you to keep that from lighting up a half a mile of Broadway, which you don't need, right? Because, maintaining Broadway is a highly traveled county road, and I wanted to keep you off of that as well. But I'm thinking anything north of Seward, we should try and focus on. And anything north of Seward inside the city limits is probably a good target for us.
Yeah, so who calculated these miles for me?
ODOT?
Oh, not?
Yeah.
I thought that they had me registered at 600 now, so. But I guess maybe they're taking out the city lines.
I don't know, and they could have taken out the shared roads too. I don't know what they did, sir.
So this is going down to Simpson Road?
It goes down to Forest Hills.
Forest Hills. Well, that's a
The
county.
dividing line is the river,
Yeah,
right?
pretty much the river, and then you still have the city of Guthrie.
I mean, Plan B, I mean, the only reason I like that, I'm getting rid of a lot of grading miles there.
And I would be willing to take that Plan B. I mean, that takes a lot of miles away from you. I mean, puts us up another 60 miles of grading, but
So, Monty, if that's something that you guys, would be agreeable to, then what I would propose is that we look at moving that south boundary for District 3 up to the city limits. You see where those little dots are at?
Yeah.
On just south of Seward Road, and encompass you inside the city limits there, and then go back up and give you more of the area on the west side of Guthrie that we talked about earlier, and possibly Cedar Valley West or Cedar Valley East. Can't give you Cedar Valley West because I live there. I mean, I'd be happy to.
All right, I'll do it.
Okay, so there's a spot across the Cinnamon River over here that I want to, right in mind.
Well, I mean, I'd really like to table this and
Yeah.
have time to look at it.
What I can do is I can go back to the Capitol and get another map drawn up like that shows the,
Yeah. Well, you know, the Plan C where you're coming north of the river, don't get me wrong, I'd love to get rid of them grading miles. But, there's a lot of people in there I really don't want to cut out. And one of them was an opponent of mine last time, so.
well, I'll be honest with you, that was my least favorite plan as well.
Yeah.
Although I did want to present it, I did want to put it in there because it's something that has been talked about previously, why couldn't. Well,
Yeah.
the reason that we shouldn't is because I would be grading roads all the way from Oklahoma County all the way to Garfield County. Okay. Okay.
I've done it from Garfield County to Oklahoma County almost, a couple miles. But yeah, I'd hate to do that just for that reason.
Yeah, I agree. So we want to look at a modified Plan B?
that's one I'm leaning at.
That's one I'm leaning toward so far. I mean,
Right.
Without having time to study this.
So we bring that up. You got Plan B up there, Monty?
I do.
What I wanted to show you is just to take this off, right? See where right here? That's all city limits. And we can carve that out.
Okay, so
And-
from this point, this way city limits?
Right. Yep, that's all in the city. And then to bring you over here and here.
I could go drive them roads.
No, you don't need to drive them, trust me, they're good. But I need to keep this little area right here because that's where my shop's at.
Yeah, I had to go drive some of there.
Trust me, they're in good shape, Monty.
6-inch.
Well, I would really like to do no action and maybe have a special meeting to.
Okay, so I think we could get, so there's two things that's going on. The legislature just went into special session today to talk about redistricting. And they're also passing some legislation that affects counties and county commissioners and all that stuff on redistricting. So to be quite honest, Monty, I don't think you can draw anybody out.
Right.
I think that they're gonna, pass some temporary legislation for this and this only.
Yeah, and I don't want to draw anybody out.
No, neither do I. So, anyway, that should be over. All that should be over with by Monday. this coming Monday, a week from today. And what I'd like to do, we've already got a special meeting for the trust board for Monday. I'd like to propose we do the same for our board of commissioners.
Sounds good to me.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm good with it.
so table until Monday, special meeting. Ma'am?
It'll be a no action and a new agenda item on a special meeting.
Right.
Okay, fine.
So do we anticipate they're gonna extend the date for this?
Don't know.
Because the 30th is the current date.
Right,
Okay.
right. Oh, we anticipate we're gonna get her done by the 30th. It may be right up to that,
Okay, sure.
but we'll get her done. I'm sure. Okay. So, we need to,
No, you're good.
okay. So we'll move on to item 25, comments, announcements, questions by the Board of County Commissioners or other county officers and department heads.
I have nothing.
Okay.
I have nothing.
All right, we'll move on to item 26, consideration possible action on adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
A second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.